Hello, everyone. This is Jonas Jinken, a graduate student at Grand Canyon University. My course is penetration testing and risk management. Today, I'll be looking at certain analysis based on scans from Nexus, OAPS, ZAP, and the NICTO scan. The first thing that I'll be looking at will be to utilize a flow hypothesis method and provide hypothesis based on the scan findings on the scan reports. So based on my scan report, I realized that there was a, a cross-site scripting attack or vulnerability within the system, and this vulnerability was based on improper input validation, and this type of attack can allow hijackers or attackers to inject codes in a system to which will lead to data leakage or information being stolen by attackers. And the test of hypothesis is to actually see if improper code is put in the system. Will this actually lead to an attacker being able to hijack a system? And of course, if inputs are not validated, it can actually lead to this type of attack. Additionally, surveying developers and organizations security practices, we can actually find out to see if an attacker can actually inject codes. Of course, and one of the best things to do is to create awareness for for developers, give them proper training for them to be able to know the ramifications or the vulnerabilities that can arise when a code is injected within an application which is not validated. The second uh, idea or the next thing that we'll be looking at will be utilize tools, the tools that we've seen, the NICTO scanner, the OAP ZAPs, and the Nexus, utilize it to conduct a vulnerability scan. And of course, we know that these tools, the NICTO, the Nexus, and the OAP ZAP, these are all tools that are used in identifying various type of vulnerabilities within web applications, within uh, uh, databases, and of course within seeing looking at configuration settings. So these tools are all the Nexus, the uh, OAP scan, and NICTO are all these three tools are tools that are based in looking at system weaknesses, system vulnerabilities, and of course looking at web applications. All this is actually to bring out vulnerabilities that might reside uh, within the systems. So these tools will scan and get codes like SQL injections, cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery attacks, and other forms of vulnerabilities. So the tools. Let's look at how we can use tools to do to carry out root cause analysis in identifying vulnerabilities. How can we use tools to actually do root cause analysis? And of course, we know that the NICTO, the OAP ZAP, and the Nexus tools can always, which are being used to identify vulnerabilities. The NICTO is a web server scanner that helps organizations to identify vulnerabilities in the web applications and web servers. Using the NICTO hyphen H command, and the target IP address will actually scan the system and identify all vulnerabilities that are within the system. For for Nexus, to run a Nexus scan, we need to configure the plugins, and the plugins that the organization has to configure plugins to be able to scan the system, identify various vulnerabilities within either applications, websites, or even databases. Using OWASP, which is an open source vulnerability tool, also will be able to scan web applications and generally identify uh, vulnerabilities such as SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and cross-site request forgery. So, to conduct a root cause analysis using techniques that can be used to do root cause analysis for vulnerabilities. We can use the fusing technique, we can use code review, and we can use reverse engineering methodologies in order to identify root cause analysis for vulnerabilities. And fusing is is a technique that can be used uh, in identifying root cause issues within various applications. While code review is a methodological process whereby code is designed and identified for bugs. The increase of code quality and can help developers in order to identify codes or identify vulnerabilities. So it's generally very advisable that developers should review the codes that they've developed in order to see if vulnerabilities are there or not. And of course, it's a manual process, manually reviewing the codes to identify errors and vulnerabilities. We equally have reverse engineering, where a code is taken back to the developers for them to actually see if they can if they can do certain processes like reviews in order to find out if those codes have vulnerabilities. We equally have the fusing, which involves feeding random data within the system to see if the system will break. So if the system doesn't break, it means that that particular piece of data doesn't have vulnerabilities in it. If it breaks, then it will give developers the idea that this code, the data has vulnerabilities, and of course they'll take it back to development or to actually review and get the root cause analysis of the vulnerabilities that are involved within that tool or within that piece of data. Another topic that we'll be looking at will be using the knowledge of vulnerabilities found and of course to see attack vectors and the hypotheses that are involved within that. So, using a cross-site tracing tool, the cross-site tracing vulnerability was actually found when I ran my scans, and this vulnerability, the attack vector that is always associated with this type of vulnerability, the cross-site tracing vulnerability, the attack vector is generally cross-site scripting. And of course, we equally know that the trace, or it works with the trace HTTPS method, which is a method of sending and receiving data from several requests to actually find if there is any weaknesses within that piece of data. Of course, it equally helps in diagnosing information to see if the same data is sent over and the same amount of data is received by the server. So this form of attack is actually used in seeing if there are any red flags within a piece of data, so that it can, of course, be injected into production without having any fears that there are any vulnerabilities in it. And of course, the the cross-site tracing tracing vulnerability equally can be used in stealing user credentials using cookies. Attackers can use cookies in stealing user credentials when they use this form of attack. So the next item we'll be looking at will be analyzing the legal, the ethical, and the industrial standards associated with vulnerabilities disclosure, and what are the recommendations for a vulnerability to either be disclosed to the public and why. So we know that the legal implications of that involves vulnerability is whether it involve private information. People's private information should people's private information be revealed out there to everybody. So it is not acceptable that private information of individuals, say somebody's medical record, PII, PHI, should be allowed for attackers to be to violate. It is not acceptable. So the legal implications of having this vulnerability is that people can get sued, right? And of course, uh, when people get sued, they can pay huge sums of money for 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 their data to be restored. The ethical implications occur when it comes to information being out there in the public.